British Prime Minister Keir Starmer is facing serious pressure from inside his own party. The trigger is his decision to appoint Peter Mandelson as ambassador to the United States, followed by the release of files showing Mandelson's past links to the late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Now a senior Labour figure has openly said Starmer should resign. This is no longer just a media story. It is shaking the Labour Party at a critical moment. Let me start here. Over the years, we have seen many political scandals come and go, and often leaders try to ride them out. But this time feels different. When Anas Sarwar, the leader of Scottish Labour, says the Prime Minister should resign, that is not a small comment. It is a direct challenge from inside the party. So let me ask, why is Sarwar's statement such a big moment for Keir Starmer, and why does it matter so much right now?
It matters because of who is saying it and when he is saying it. Anas Sarwar is not a backbench rebel or a minor voice. He leads Scottish Labour and speaks for a whole group of Labour lawmakers. When someone at that level publicly calls for a sitting Prime Minister to go, it sends a message that the problem is serious. It also tells voters that the party is divided. The timing is also crucial. Scottish parliamentary elections are coming up in May, and Labour needs to look strong and united. Instead, voters are seeing open disagreement and concern about leadership. That weakens Starmer's position and makes it harder for him to claim he still has full support inside his own party.
Now let us talk about the heart of the controversy, the decision to appoint Peter Mandelson as ambassador to the United States. On paper, Mandelson is experienced and well-connected, but then these files come out showing his ties to Jeffrey Epstein. Many people are now asking how this appointment was even allowed to happen. So here is the key question. What does this decision say about Starmer's judgment, and why has it caused so much damage?
The damage comes from trust. People expect a Prime Minister to be careful, especially when making such a high-profile appointment. Even if Mandelson was never charged with a crime, the links to Epstein are deeply troubling to the public. When files show the depth of those connections, people naturally ask whether enough checks were done. It creates the feeling that Starmer either did not know enough or ignored warning signs. Both options look bad. In politics, perception matters as much as facts. This appointment made voters question Starmer's judgment and values. Once that doubt sets in, it spreads quickly and becomes very hard to contain.
We are also seeing the political cost show up very clearly in the numbers. Polls suggest the Prime Minister's popularity has dropped sharply, just 18 months after a huge election win. That is a very fast fall. So let me ask you this. Why has public opinion turned so quickly? And how much of this is linked to the Mandelson scandal?
The speed of the drop shows how fragile political support can be. Starmer won big because many voters wanted stability and integrity. The Mandelson issue cuts directly against that image. People feel disappointed, and disappointment turns into anger faster than simple disagreement. The story also keeps growing instead of fading. New details, strong comments from party figures, and constant media coverage all keep it alive. On top of that, people are already under pressure from everyday issues like the cost of living. When trust in leadership cracks, voters are far less forgiving. The scandal may not be the only reason for the fall, but it has become the symbol of wider doubts about Starmer's leadership.
In the last 24 hours, we have seen Starmer's top aide and communications chief both resign. Supporters say this is a reset, a way to draw a line under the affair. Critics say it looks like panic and damage control. So let me put this to you. Do these resignations actually help Starmer, or do they make his position even weaker?
Right now, they probably make things worse. In theory, clearing out senior staff can signal change and responsibility. But in practice, it often looks like the leader is under siege. When top figures leave at the same time, it suggests the crisis is deep. Voters may ask why the Prime Minister stays while others fall on their swords. Inside the party, it can also raise fears about instability at the top. Instead of closing the story, the resignations have added another chapter to it. They make it harder for Starmer to say the issue is finished.
Finally, let us look ahead. Scottish elections are coming, Labour is divided, and senior figures are calling for a change in leadership. This feels like a turning point. So here is the big question everyone is asking. From here, what realistic options does Keir Starmer have, and is resignation now the only way out?
Starmer has two real paths. He can stay and fight, hoping the story fades and that voters focus on other issues. That would require strong unity inside the party, which right now is missing. The other option is to step aside and allow Labour to reset before the Scottish elections. For many in the party, that second option looks cleaner and less risky. Resignation would be painful, but it could stop the damage spreading further. Whether Starmer chooses to go or stay, the decision will shape not just his future, but the future of Labour itself. This is no longer just about one appointment. It is about leadership, trust, and credibility.
Keir Starmer is facing the biggest test of his political career, a controversial appointment, damaging revelations, falling poll numbers, and open calls for his resignation have all collided at once. With elections approaching and pressure growing inside his own party, time is not on his side. Whether he steps down or tries to hold on, one thing is clear. This moment will be remembered as a defining chapter for Labour and for British politics as a whole. Thank you for watching.